Welcome in to another episode here of Home Field Advantage. I hope you're all having a great start to your Friday morning. We're going to be one topic and one topic only today. Um, if you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for checking in. I'll be checking down here occasionally, checking out the uh, chat and the viewers. So if I'm looking away from the screen, that's what I'm looking at. I realized I used the word check out a million times. But it's December 2nd, 2022. It's Friday morning. We're right after a big Thursday night showdown at Gillette Stadium between the Patriots and Bills that, quite frankly, uh, was a horrible evening for the Patriots. If I'm being completely honest, it was one of the most joyless experiences I've had watching the Patriots in 7 days. Um, so if you checked out my Instagram, there I go again. If you looked at my Instagram video last night, encourage you to go look at that. It's only a few minutes long, but it sort of gives a precursor of what I want to touch on today. And if you're not a Patriots fan, that's fine. I think this is still a very interesting topic in the grand scheme of things in the NFL, in terms of, are the Patriots even relevant again? Are they a team that, quite frankly, people should care about? Are they a team that will ever again, with Bill Belichick as the coach, be a real Super Bowl contender? This is a question that I think is worth asking. It's not talk radio jargon. It's not mumbo jumbo from pundits on ESPN. I think this is a real question that fans of the Patriots, who I will admit aren't the most loyal in the NFL, I will point that out. Um, it's one that we're all asking, and it's not unfair. We're 3 years past Tom Brady suiting up for New England. A month from Sunday will exactly be 3 years since he last played a game for the Patriots. At this point, you would think that with Bill Belichick as a head coach, with the amount of just talent that they still have on the team that they brought in via free agency in early 2021, that they would be maybe not as good as the Bills, but certainly not a team that you look at as being, as I've always said, a football team that you can identify does something well. I would not have said that about a Bill Belichick coach team, but right now, they don't really do anything well. Now, you might say, oh, well, their defense is a top 10 defense. Great. They're not playing Zach Wilson, Sam Ellinger, and Mitch Trubisky every week. They don't get to go up against Jacoby Brissett and Jared Goff in the AFC East. They have to go up against the best young quarterbacks in the league in their own conference every year in order to make the playoffs. In a couple weeks, they'll have Joe Burrow come to town. They'll also have uh, Kyler Murray in a road game if he's healthy in about 10 days. They don't do anything well right now. And so I think it's fair to ask these questions about the future of the team. And it's not to say that it's over completely for this year. Like, I'll outline how there's still a fairly decent shot that they make the playoffs. They're not going to be world beaters. I don't think there's a single chance that they make a playoff win out of this year. So Robert Kraft will go another year without a playoff win. But I think it's fair to say that they still have an outside shot at a playoff berth because of how volatile the AFC is at the bottom of the standings. So we'll get into all that in a little bit. First thing I want to touch on real quick is I want to go over quickly let me get up my notes here. There's so many. I already talked about the letdown of last night, how it didn't live up to the bill, no pun intended, and that it frankly could have been if they had won last week in Minnesota and not decided to give up a special teams touchdown and a special teams penalty that changed the game. If they had actually played all three phases, which Belichick used to preach, um, they would have come into this game at 7-4, and the Bills would have been 8-3, and this game would have been for first place in the AFC East, um, or at least as a tiebreaker for one another, depending on what happens with Miami on Sunday. So there's a letdown. I already talked a lot about that, a lot about the questions that I have. I already talked about questioning Belichick. I think that's fair too. Belichick, let's just be fair. He is not a great coach without Tom Brady. Period. End of story. Full stop. Don't have any qualms about saying that. He's not a great coach without Tom Brady. He's a good coach without Tom Brady. Now, you might say that I'm, splitting hairs and parsing words and this and that, semantically or rhetorically. Sure, I may be doing that. But I think Belichick's a good coach. I think he can drop a game plan. We've seen what he could do on the defensive side of the ball to shut down opposing offenses before. But if you roll back the tape and look at any good offense that they've played this year, you don't even have to go farther than the last 2 weeks. They've had some of the best receivers in the game completely take over the game. Stephon Diggs last night was on his own island. Stephon Diggs last night was a complete he was a complete I might have the mail arriving. This is the amazing part about live stuff. If you're listening on audio, you won't hear this. So, but if you're watching on video, I think the mail arrived. I think there's a guy at the door. I'll be back. All right. The joys of Facebook and Instagram Live. All right. So I was talking about how Belichick is a good coach, not a great coach, because he has been unable in recent games this year to shut down good offenses. Justin Fields came in here to Foxborough on Monday Night Football about a month and a half ago and absolutely embarrassed the Patriots defense. Justin Jefferson did whatever he wanted to do on the field on Thursday night in Minnesota on Thanksgiving. Last night, Stephon Diggs just took over the game and put Jonathan Jones, who, let's be real, he's a good player, but he has no business covering Stephon Diggs, put that guy in a blender all night long. So if I am Bill Belichick and I am supposed to be a great coach, all right, that leads me to question him. If he's supposed to be a great coach who rises to the occasion, all right, against big teams, he's done that for 20 years, and they come in, your division rival who has owned you has come into your building again, and the playoffs are essentially on the line in some respects, and you lay an egg defensively. You let Josh Allen take over the momentum of the game early with a fantastic play. You are a coach who allows your team to essentially quit, and there's not any accountability up there. You will not see any accountability after last night's performance in Foxborough. You won't, because they're okay with it. You can tell I'm a little bit fired up right here. And look, I know a lot of it's on the players, and I'll get to that. They're not without blame. But for the Patriots to let the Bills walk in, and I say the Patriots meaning the coach, the players, the staff, everyone, to let them come in again and do that in Foxborough is embarrassing. So it's absolutely okay to question Bill. Now, here's where I get a bigger hair across my ass. Mac Jones is not the problem. I will say that again and again and again. And you guys know, if you listen to me and watch before, that I'm a big Mac Jones guy. I believe in Mac Jones. I think he has the tools to be a pretty good NFL quarterback. He's not going to be Tom Brady, newsflash. He's not going to be Patrick Mahomes, breaking news. But he will be a quarterback that is capable of allowing his team to compete for a Super Bowl. I'll say that again. He will be a quarterback who has the ability to help his team compete for a Super Bowl. We all thought that last year when they were 9-4. We were all saying, hey, maybe they're a Super Bowl contender. Hey, maybe Mac Jones has some ability here that people underestimated. He could be a real franchise quarterback. In fact, I'll lay out in a few minutes about how the myth that he's not good at playing from behind is wrong. And while it may look that way on the surface this season, he's actually been a pretty good quarterback in tough situations throughout his career. The big question, which we'll get to again, it's a common theme, is coaching. I'll never say that Mac Jones is going to be a stats wizard. He's not probably even going to be Matt Stafford. He's probably going to be closer to Tony Romo than he is Matt Stafford or Drew Brees. But Mac Jones will be your reality quarterback. He'll never be your fantasy quarterback. I don't know how many times I have to say that to people who look out there and they're like, why isn't Mac Jones throwing for more touchdowns? Because the way Mac Jones is successful is if he's allowed to run the offense his way. And what Mac Jones wants to do is Mac Jones wants to start running the ball, mix in play action, take shots down the field in early downs and in the middle parts of the field. And then when he gets into the red zone, he likes to do screens and he likes to do inside zone runs. And he likes to do drags over the middle of the field to the tight ends. He loves he's much like Brady in this respect, is that he loves reading a defense. But what this coaching staff is doing is they're tying his hands behind his back and they're saying, we have to run our scheme. We got to run the ball. And next thing you know, you see Damian Harris or Ramondre Stevenson tackled for loss. It should really be tackled for loss, incomplete pass with no offensive line help. That's the story of this Patriots offense. Mac Jones is not a bad quarterback. Everyone loves to hate Mac Jones in this fan base for some reason because it makes them feel better about something. I still, for 30 games in his career, I've yet to figure out why people like to hate Mac Jones. Is it because he went to Bama? I don't know. Is it because he's kind of goofy looking? Maybe. Is it because he's not a sexy run around the field, throw out of his ass quarterback like, Josh Allen or Mahomes or Fields or Cam Newton, right? Like, I have no idea why there's this Mac Jones hate, considering last year we were all saying that, this is the guy, we can build on this, we can build on this. We have an offensive, roster that's not horrible. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, again, 30 games into their Patriots careers, have yet to be involved in the offense in a meaningful way. I don't know why they don't game plan for these guys. Seems like I didn't even see Hunter Henry last night. Kendrick Bourne, for some asinine reason, is not involved in this offense. It's literally check down to Ramondre, try not to get sacked, throw out of your ass to Jacoby Myers, and hope for the best. That is not an offensive scheme. And the reason why it's going this way is because Matt Patricia has no freaking clue what he's doing. Matt Patricia has no offensive experience at this level being a play caller. And quite frankly, when he was a defensive play caller, there were some huge, like just question marks about that too. Like, need I remind you that he allowed Blake Bortles to walk in here in an AFC Championship game and light it up. So my point about Matt Patricia is that if you really wanted your second year quarterback to be set up for success, right? People get mad at me when I talk about, how Mac Jones doesn't have tools around him. They're like, well, what do you mean? He just has all those offensive skill players that I just talked about. But what I mean by tools is he doesn't have the mental support right now. Like his coaching staff is setting him up to fail, right? Like Bill Belichick should know that the most important thing for a young quarterback is continuity. Like the reason why we were the Patriots and the Bills were the Bills for so long is because their young quarterbacks had no continuity. The reason why the Jets are the Jets is because they put a defensive coach in there to help out Zach Wilson. The reason why the Dolphins were garbage up until this year was because they surrounded Tua with defensive coaches and not a lot of help. The best thing for a young quarterback is continuity. That's why if they bring back basically all the same offensive players from last year, plus Devontae Parker, and then, okay, let's say McDaniels leaves, you go get an offensive coach to run that same system again. Somebody with some sort of familiarity with that system. I don't know what Chad O'Shea's up to, but that would have been an okay pick because it's clear that Bill O'Brien is still under contract at Alabama. Now, going forward, I think Bill O'Brien would be a great pick for offensive coordinator, if not head coach, if you know what I mean. But I think for the Pats, they need some sort of continuity on offense. The Zappy thing early in the year was he lost coaching, and and people were so quick to turn on Mac Jones. So again, he doesn't even have continuity from the fan base that seems to hate him. People were chanting and wanting Zappy after he played 2 good quarters against the Packers, who, by the way, blow. Also, he really just did what he was told against the Lions and the Browns and kind of looked like garbage against the Bears when he went in at -2 throws. So let's not get hung up on Zappy being a better quarterback than Mac Jones. I think that is a trash argument, and everybody knows it. I used to say this about the Bruins. The best way for the Bruins to win in the playoffs is to have a healthy Tuukka Rask. I wasn't one of these guys that said, "Oh, start Swayman in the playoffs in his rookie year," just because he had a couple good games. The best way for the Patriots to be competitive going forward is with a young, healthy Mac Jones who plays to his strengths, is allowed to make his own decisions, and has continuity around him. If they want to blow it up and start over with a new quarterback and we'll be right back where we were 2 years ago, that's fine. I just wonder if you can salvage this thing from Mac Jones. But I do want to say, because I've been bloviating about this for a long time now, I do want to say that the O-line has a lot to do with it as well. The offensive line is a dumpster fire. David Andrews is clearly hurt. Uh, Trent Brown just is a liability. Isaiah Wynn, probably one of Belichick's worst draft picks of all time, and that's saying something. And I don't even know who else is on the offensive line. Like, Owen was good when he's around. I like Kajust okay. Cole Strange just gets put in a blender sometimes. Like, he shows spurts of being really good, and then he shows spurts of being horrendous. Um, Marcus Cannon was hurt. They traded Shaq Mason. Joe Tooney's gone. I mean, they have had no continuity on the offensive line in Jones's career, and so it's truly remarkable how nobody is talking about that, and everyone just wants to look at the quarterback and say he sucks. He can't win big games because they just don't want him to because they want to be right on Twitter about something. Um, because there's this myth around that Mac Jones can't play from behind. All right. Um, so let me just read you sometimes last year when he had a real offensive coordinator and real coaching and was allowed to, play football and not, listen to Matt Patricia talk about rocket science, how Mac Jones did playing from behind. Now, they didn't win all these games, of course, because we're about to talk about the defense more in a second. And the defense let them down in many of these circumstances. But against Miami, in his first NFL start, they had the ball with 4 minutes to go. They were driving. They were down a point and getting ready to kick a field goal to probably win the game. Damian Harris fumbles. Mac Jones playing from behind, setting up a big drive. They were probably going to go down and score. Damian Harris fumbles. Defense can't get off the field. Dolphins win. Against the Buccaneers and Tom Brady a couple weeks after that, October 2021. They were trailing 13-7 at the half. They started the fourth quarter with a 7-play, 77-yard touchdown drive to take the lead against the Buccaneers, who were the defending Super Bowl champions. Mac Jones's fourth career NFL game. Really not good at playing from behind, actually. Then they were trailing 16-14. Mac Jones brought the Patriots on a 8-play, 66-yard field goal drive to take the lead, 17-16. The Buccaneers would counter with a field goal of their own, making it 19-17. And Mac Jones again brought the Patriots down the field with a chance to win the game. And they took the ball out of his hands because, again, the coaching staff doesn't believe in him. And he was unable to make a fourth down play. And instead, they kicked the field goal and didn't make it. A couple weeks later at Houston, they were trailing 22-9 at halftime. Now, you guys might say, well, the Houston Texans suck. All right, well, this is Mac Jones' sixth career game. So I think it doesn't matter who the opponent is. He's just getting used to the NFL at this point. Trailing 22-9 at halftime. 4 consecutive scoring drives in the second half, including a 15-play, 84-yard field goal drive to win the game with 15 seconds left. Really not good at playing from behind, Mac Jones. Unable to put together scoring drives. He can't do it, apparently. Against Dallas, October 15th, 2021. He threw a really bad interception to Trevon Diggs, brought it back all the way for a touchdown. They were down 26-21. It looked grim. What does Mac Jones do? His next time he touches the football, he throws a 75-yard touchdown to Kendrick Bourne. Really not good at playing from behind, Mac Jones. Can't do it. Unable. Incapable. You know he's gone 4 games without an interception? In fact, I would probably say, and this could be me just being a complete, Mac Jones bozo, homer, but you could argue he's actually the reason why they haven't lost by more in the last couple of games because he hasn't turned the ball over. Earlier in the year, you could probably, and I think it's still fair to argue that he was the reason why they lost some of those early games, especially the Baltimore game. He turned the ball over a lot. But, I mean, I'm looking around and he hasn't thrown an interception in 4 games since that Jets game at New York. And he has 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in that time span. If you told me that the Patriots were going to go to Minnesota on Thanksgiving and Mac Jones was going to go throw for over 350 yards, 2 plus touchdowns, they were going to dominate time of possession, and they were going to oh, we got Roomba going on. See, this is what happens when I record early in the morning. The joys. But what happened if you had told me that he was going to go 4 games without a interception, and in that time frame he was going to go throw 5 touchdowns, we were going to over 300 yards passing, they were going to win time of possession, they were going to win the turnover battle against the Vikings and the Bills. But in that Viking game specifically, and they were going to lose, I would say you're crazy. Because the reason they were losing games early was the mistakes by Mac Jones. Now, look, there's still some mental clock errors. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. That sequence before the end of the half last night was garbage. They left 3 points on the board last night in a crucial time. They left 4 points on the board later in the game. I know it was garbage time. And then they let the Bills get 4 extra points when they let Josh Allen dance around and throw out of his ass for a touchdown. So the Patriots left points on the board. And the defense also, gave up points they probably shouldn't have. The margin for error for this Patriots team is so small that they cannot afford. They cannot afford the mental errors that are caused by poor coaching. Because even when Matt Jones has good games, like last night, he was not bad. Like, was he great? No. But I think he played well enough for them to win the game. He did not make huge mistakes. He had some poor incompletions, but the same people that were yelling at him to throw the ball away 3 weeks ago when he was getting sacked are the same people that are mad at him for throwing the ball away tonight and not getting sacked. So, I think the margin of error is just so small that they can't afford to just have these things happen. They have to play mistake-free football. And with the poor execution and coaching that they have right now, I don't think that's possible. The defense is wilting. Moving over to that side of the ball. They allowed 21 first downs by the Bills last night. 15 in the air, 6 on the ground. They allowed 4.9 average yards per play. They, on offense, had 4.7 yards per play, so they weren't that much different than the Bills. Time possession was 38-22. The Bills did whatever they wanted to do offensively, and there was nothing that the Pats could do about it. There was nothing they could do about it. It was a complete dumpster fire in all ways, shapes, and forms, defensively. They did not play well on third down. I said going into the game, and I said going into the Viking game, that was going to be the calling card. They would have had to play well on third down to win both those games. They didn't. They can't get off the field. They simply cannot get off the field on third down. And when they do, it's followed by a 3-and-out. That's the problem right now, is the offense will move the ball when they're down like 20 points already because the defense can't get off the field. So it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating. But like it could be 3rd and 20 and it might as well be 3rd and 0 because you know that the defense is going to whiff. Like last night, they had situations where, my God, Roomba, my word. I'm telling you guys, this is insane. I really don't understand why everything is going wrong at my house right now. But everything's going wrong for the Patriots last night too. I mean, as I've said, Third down, they were atrocious. They weren't able to get off the field when they had to. It was abysmal. Also, Allen, I gotta say, 22 of 33. That's a pretty good number. 223 and 2 touchdowns. You held him under 300 yards? Are you kidding me? The problem is they dared the Bills to run the ball and then didn't stop the run. And so the Bills were just like playing with us all night. They were like, huh, huh. Oh, here's a 3rd and 7. Oh, we're going to run the ball right down your throat. Oh, here's a 3rd and 2. Might as well be a first down already because we can't stop a nosebleed. The Bills were playing with us all night. It was emasculating. It was like what we did to them a year ago in that windy game when we all thought we were back at the top. Well, newsflash, we've gotten embarrassed by them 3 times in a row. And if I sound angrier than normal, it's because I am. It's because I invest a lot of time in this football team. I care about this football team. And they play like ass in prime time and embarrass the country twice in as many as 8 days. Or as few as 8 days. So just to go over that one more time because I was distracted by my vacuum cleaner. 38 to 22 minutes of time of possession difference. That's abysmal at home. That's like on level with how bad they looked against the Bears. 4.9 yards per play allowed on defense. They on offense had 4.7. So you would think that was close. Well, the difference is the Bills ran 72 plays. We ran 51. So that's make of that what you want. And Stevenson on offense, 10 carries for 54 yards. If you want to slow down the Bills' offense, you have to hold the ball for longer. The Patriots' offense from the first possession was situationally bad. And I blame that on coaching. I do. Because Mac Jones, look at him on that last drive of the game. He's running for his life. He has no offensive line. He's got no receivers that give a shit. I mean, Devontae Parker gave up on the play. Your quarterback's down there running for his life. Your offensive lineman standing there with his hands on his hips. And Devontae Parker's out of bounds, not even really looking at the play. I mean, not even trying to throw a block if there is a play downfield. Like, he just gave up on the play. And I know that if you go out of bounds and you got to come back in, are you eligible? Yada, yada, yada. I get that. But, my God, they gave up. The Patriots gave up again last night. And so, if you're a Patriots fan, you should be sick with that effort. Now, there's 2 other things I want to get to here. First thing. There's 2 other things I want to get to here. Sorry, I was having a problem with my audio. The technical and the environmental difficulties today have been a whirlwind, so I appreciate it. But there's 2 other things I want to get to with regard to the Patriots. First is the whole talk about, like, can they make the playoffs and whatnot. Like, I understand. I understand that it's particularly annoying that they cannot win close games. So, like, I understand all that. It's annoying, and I hate it. But at the same time, part of me wonders, okay, if they somehow win against a Cardinals team that's very inconsistent and against a Raiders team that is also very inconsistent, then that's a huge if. Those are 2 primetime games on the road out west. Don't really love their chances. But if they win those games, they'll be 8-6, and that sets up a Christmas Eve matchup with the Bengals. Excuse me. Who will also be vying for a playoff spot as well. And the more I think about it, and the Bengals play the Chiefs this week, the more I think about it, there is an opportunity for the Patriots to win a couple of these games here and at least give themselves a chance when they play the Dolphins and the Bills at the end of the year. At least give themselves an opportunity to maybe maybe get there with a W of some kind, down the stretch here. Like, will the Bills even be playing for anything in the final week of the season? Because if they clean up on the Dolphins as well and the Jets, they'll have the division wrapped up. They definitely have us taken care of already. And the Bills could already have the number 2 seed locked up if Kansas City already has the 1. They might not be playing for anything, right? You know what I mean? So the Bill, we could win that game just by default. I'm not, it's really hard to say that the Patriots are going to beat the Bills after the last 3 games. But I mean, if Allen and Diggs, if we play a JV Bill squad, hey, I'd give us a puncher's chance. So there's still a road for the Patriots to make the playoffs. They realistically can't go any worse than 4-1. They have to finish 10-7 or better to me at this point to have a chance. It could very well end up that they make the playoffs as the 7th seed and then go play the Bills in the first round again. Just saying. So, yeah, I mean, I give the Patriots a puncher's chance to make the playoffs. I really do. So I wouldn't rule anything out yet. The one thing going on right now, though, that I do want to point out is there's a lot of talk about Brady coming back. Now, this could be a whole podcast by itself. Tom Brady coming back, not truly on board with that. I think that would be amazing. I would love that. I'm not saying I wouldn't like that. It would be awesome. It would be like, oh my God, this is great. We got Brady back. We're in again. We're contenders again. We would definitely win a lot of games, I believe, even though this division's tough. But like long term, I mean, I know Brady looks like he can play forever, but do we want to be good in 5 years? Do we want to be good in 10 years? Or do we want to be good next year? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, what does that do to Mac Jones? Like, where does Mac Jones go? And I know a lot of you are like, to hell with Mac Jones if we get Tom Brady. And I get that. But like, you drafted Mac Jones 15th overall a year and a half ago. You're already ready to move on from him? Like, he's not, Jordan Love or Josh Rosen. You know what I mean? Like, he still has potential that he's shown in this league. So, like, what are you gonna do with Mac Jones? Are you gonna trade him? If you trade him, everyone's gonna be like, "What are you doing trading him? Is he any good? Like, do you even think he's good? Like, who thinks he's good? Because it seems like everyone else wants to argue how bad he is. So, like, what, like Brady and like, I'm not sure how that would go. I'm not particularly intrigued by the thought of dealing with that drama again if it were to occur. Now, apparently, they talked it out after the game last year, whatever. But I'm not truly sold on that either. So for me, it's a little bit of a tough situation to go on. And so for that reason, I'm not entirely confident in this like actually happening to begin with. And then if it does happen, like what does it do to impact the future of the club? Like, because look, the Patriots were awesome for 21 years or whatever it was, but now they've been bad for 3 years. Do I want one more year of being good, or do I want to set us up to be competitive every single year? Like, because if Brady comes back for a quote unquote farewell tour, that's great. But I mean, have you guys noticed that he's 5-6 with that Buccaneer team? Like, this Patriots team doesn't have nearly the amount of talent. And does he want Matt Patricia to be his offensive coordinator? Like, he's just dealing with the bozos down there who can't figure out a clock. Does he want to come up here and deal with guys that don't know how to figure out a clock either? So there's a lot going on there. I would love it for the entertainment value and because just I love Tom Brady. But I'm not convinced it's a smart football decision long term for the Patriots, let alone a financial one. But We'll see. We'll probably spend some more time talking about that in a later episode. Just quickly before I wrap up here, props to the U.S. men's national team advancing in the World Cup. They'll play the Netherlands tomorrow. That will be fun to check in on. We'll see what happens there. Um, College football, top four right now: Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC. I think all four of them take care of business in their respective conference championships. Georgia's got LSU, I believe. I like Georgia in that game. I think Michigan has Purdue, like Michigan there. TCU's got Kansas State. That one could go either way, but I still like TCU because that game's in Dallas, and these, they're going to be pumped for it. TCU's been sort of like a team of destiny all year long, and then at four, USC at Utah. That will be interesting. I think USC wins that game. It will be tough. If Utah wins, then you might open the door for somebody like Ohio State or something to get in, or whoever. So we'll see what happens there. But we'll find out, within a few days what the college football playoff will look like. So that'll be exciting. We'll have all that too. I might do a pod on Sunday. Had a little bit of technical difficulties with this one, so who knows if it's even out on audio. If you're listening on audio, then awesome. I was able to upload it. If not, and you're watching on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. But we'll see. I might have an episode on Sunday to recap some of those two topics in particular. But until then, I hope you all have a great weekend. I encourage you to subscribe to us here on YouTube down below and on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on social at Homefield Pod, both on Twitter and Instagram. As I mentioned earlier, we do have some content up on Instagram. And as I said, we all have a great weekend. And until next time, you've been listening and watching the newest edition of Home Field Advantage with Will Highland.